The prospect of working with two young artists who are in the midst of defining what they're going to be and what kind of work they're going to make, and their relationship to the legacy of their father's work, which they're now caretakers for, seemed ripe with potential for something we could do in the gallery.
I think for a moment there was a stunned silence, like we were both just totally blown away by like a tremendous, incredible opportunity to have this possibility of not only working together, but working with our father's estate, which we were just beginning to understand and know what was there. And that's something that like is both wonderful and bittersweet about this situation that we have, is that we have this wonderful archive of things, but you feel very much a tremendous responsibility towards that. His death early in our lives meant that our perception of him was shaped primarily by almost documentation. So when you see these things come up that are connecting both works, you're like, wow, there is really this strong thread of connection between all of us.
And I also saw the emotions that go along with sorting out familial relationships and the idea of influence. And how could the museum help that? How can the museum be part of that process?
It was such a unique design for a show. When you think about a whole expanse of a year, you kind of think, oh God, that's like a long period of time. Like, I mean, how are we going to kind of deal with that? And with a monthly deadline, I really started to put work out a lot faster, but it was much more in like a reactive spirit, which I think actually loosened me up and got me much more into a place of experimentation and sort of really thinking about very specific ideas.
One of the things that I like to do as a curator working with contemporary artists is to be very collaborative. I like to share decision making. I like to ask the artists how they would present their work, what do they think about my ideas, and then we come to some in-between zone where the artist's ideas and my ideas merge.
I kind of felt like there was different stages to the process where we would all three talk, and then he and I would talk about things we were working on in our studio, and then we would kind of say like, well, that's a good idea for Dad, but then maybe also we'd go to the storage unit, and while we're pulling that piece, we find something else that we're like, oh great, that connected to that idea very well too.
Those discussions really formed what I would make, kind of talking with her about what her pieces were going to be. So in a way, like it truly established a more generous dialogue between the two of us and then also with our father.
It was a continuing, ongoing evolution of an exhibition, and I've never really experienced or even witnessed another show like that.